Like many of you who've got Fiat Ducatos, you may find that the expensive plastic piece of blow moulded stuff is a bit too much for our own joke shelves, so I've decided to make my own. So this is a little bit of a tutorial just to show you how I did it. I'm not saying it's the right way, but it certainly works for me anyway. The first thing that I did was I took a piece of scrap cardboard and I cut it to approximately the same dimensions as the inside of the parcel shelf below the radio. And this works out at 40 centimeters wide by 29 centimeters deep, starting with an oblong and then shaping the edges so it would fit neatly inside the recessed shapes at the front of the parcel shelf. It wasn't too difficult to do, but you'll realize that this is a reasonable size to have, because when you get the piece of wood it is easier to shave it down than it is to make it any bigger. So that's how I started this off. Here you can see it in place, and it's fairly easy to do. A pair of sharp scissors and a little bit of patience and it'll fit in. Try and get a nice big piece of cardboard so you can work on it. I had a couple of goes of this until I was comfortable that I had the right dimensions. I then transferred this template onto a piece of 9mm scrap plywood that I got from my local hardware shop. It was a grand total of about £1.65, I believe, for 32 centimeters by 50 centimeters to give me a little bit of extra room. And from this picture you can see that it is a little big for what I wanted it to do, but it gave me an opportunity to trim down the edges by 1mm on the back, maybe 2mm on the back, and maybe 1mm on the side, and then to shape the edges a little closer to what I required. I also then on the next picture see that I chamfered the front end with a electric plane, but I suppose you could do with that with some sandpaper or a small sanding disc, just so it would fit in neatly. It's got to be quite a snug fit to make sure that it doesn't slop around when you're moving about. And at this point I realised there wasn't going to be enough clearance between the bottom of the piece of ply and the protrusions that are on the doorway. So the cups that I've got from Amazon, I'll put the link in a little bit later on and show you where they came from, have got a 6cm drop from the lip down to the base. There's also a protrusion that need to be removed, and did that with a Dremel drill. So I decided to add a piece of wood to the top. This is a 1x4 piece of old pine that I had lying around, and just shaped the edges so it matched up. It was glued onto the top and then screwed with a couple of wood screws just to keep it in place, and then just shaped so it cut neatly towards the edges of the piece that was already in place. Now you can see it's starting to form quite a neat package that's going to hold my cups, and of course it is very strong as well. At this point I was just messing around and decided to run a router around the top end just to smooth off the edges. Completely irrelevant, doesn't make a lot of difference to what you're trying to achieve, but if you choose to do it, it's entirely up to you. The next phase was to mark out where I wanted to have the cup holes, and I use this just aligning the cup inserts with the top part, finding the center point, drawing a couple of circles with a compass set, and the sizes that I had to drill here were, I drilled a hole of 63mm because that's the only hole saw that I had, but the hole needs to be 86mm for the cup to be able to drop in, and that's going to be something a bit of trial and error for you to be able to work on. Started off with these two holes to make sure that they were in the correct position, and then spent the time first of all with a drill and then with a jigsaw just to cut the shape out to the size that I actually needed. And here we are with the cups in place. There's a little bit of play around the outside of the cup recesses to allow for where I'm going to put the carpet in, because it drops inside the recesses there. I've also taken the protrusions off the bottom of the cup with the Dremel drill and just sanded it flat, just so it's not resting completely on the protrusions inside the doorway. The cups that I use are Unona cups from our very favourite Amazon.co.uk. The internal diameter is 80mm, the external diameter is about 86mm, and the lip across the top is 110mm. I'll leave the link in the post. I now had a decision whether I was going to varnish the shelf or cover it in Blue Peter special sticky back plastic or a carbon finish or paint it some funky colours. But these were all quite a challenge because they wouldn't really fit in with the way that the van was working. So I decided to go for a carpeting option. Now this product comes from Robust Car Parts. And it is provided by, again, our favourite Amazon. There was somebody else had done something similar and had used this product before, and seeing how versatile it was and how stretchy it was, it was seemed like a good option. And there are in multiple colours, and I've gone for the black on here, but you could choose any colour that you particularly fancied on this one. Spraying it on using the spray paint, the spray glue that's provided is very easy. The spray glue is incredibly sticky, and it comes out in a vertical and horizontal plane, so you've got to be a little bit careful you don't spray the side of the van or yourself or anything else that you don't want spraying, because it is incredibly tacky once it's sprayed on, and it's not that easy to get off. So I cut a square of the carpeting, about 50% bigger than I needed, sprayed the wood, and then pushed this into place, and fill it around with a wallpaper roller, and to get it right into the nooks and crannies. Then I cut out the holes by starting off in the centre and pushing them out, and that enabled me to drop the cups into place, as you can see. The cups are a push fit because there is a little bit of the carpet in place, and it holds them in nice and tightly. Because the diameter or internal diameter of these cup holders is 80 millimeters, it's big enough to take a thermos cup with plenty of space in there. There is a little bit of connection with the wood trim at the top, but it's not too bad. It easily holds a can of Coke, probably hold a pint pot, but don't recommend you doing that whilst you're driving. So it's quite a reasonable size. So the potential option is that I'm going to look at putting a mag charger. Well, then you can get those again on Amazon, and they look something like this. It would mean drilling another 60 millimeter hole through the board at some position, and then having the wire pushing forward to connect into a suitable USB or into the cigarette charger that's close by. It's a nice little option to add, particularly as most of us now have phones that have the mag charge. It's just an easy just to drop it in rather than plugging it into a USB. Altogether, the little project took me probably about 4 hours from start to finish, if you added all the time together, not including the delivery time from Amazon. All of it done within a day or so for that. It is a very sturdy piece. It is holding firm. It is wedged in quite well, so there's not any risk really of it flying out, and it's holding those cups in nice and securely. I'll give you a bit of feedback maybe once I try it out for a longer run. See how we get on. I hope this has helped you. Please ask me any questions if you wish to do so, and I'll see if I can help.